Well, welcome to A Haircut With, mate.
Thank you for having me.
A Lib Dem candidate, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'll be standing next year, but
Okay.
I will be a candidate for the Liberal Democrats. But I'm also I'm the vice chair of Plymouth Lib Dems, which is sort of an upcoming local party.
Yeah.
And I am a parliamentary spokesperson for South West Devon. So basically that means I'm in opposition to Gary Streeter.
Is he Lib Dem as well?
No, Gary Streeter is a Conservative.
He's Conservative, is he?
So, yeah.
The arch nemesis.
I think it's something like that.
So obviously, like, when most kids are growing up and things like that, you know, they might say, well, a common one now is obviously I want to be a YouTuber, or they want to be a singer, or they want to be an actor. Yeah. Did you always want to be a politician?
No.
Did you not?
No.
So at what point were you sort of like, do you know what, I quite fancy giving this a shot, you know?
Well, actually that started because oddly I voted Leave in the 2016 referendum, the EU referendum.
Yeah.
And about a year later I thought, do you know what, I don't like how this is going, I don't like how the government are treating it, and it's not what I asked for, and I was really sort of concerned about the direction of travel.
Yeah.
And that's when I got into politics.
Yeah.
Basically, not originally as a Lib Dem, but just as a campaigner against Brexit. Being a Leave voter. And then of course, the Lib Dems were being very vocal about, you know, a second referendum and being pro-European, so I joined them and never looked back. But if you want to get into the ancient history of it, it used to be the Tories and the Whigs party.
And the Whigs?
The Whigs party, yeah.
I've never even heard of that.
Well, no, you wouldn't. And the Whigs is really the Liberal Party's sort of ancestors, if you like.
Okay.
And we got, so you had, I mean, you could say it was the Liberals and the Tories in sort of this two-party swing all the time.
Yeah.
And then the Labour Party was formed, and the Whigs got more or less destroyed.
Right. Okay.
And from that wreckage came the Liberal Party, and so on. So it's it's quite interesting how it all sort of came about. What were you thinking about when you left school? Not politics, I'm sure.
Girls. Yeah. Didn't work out too well.
Oh dear, oh dear. I wasn't expecting that answer, to be honest. But you know, most people leaving school are, you know, I mean, yeah, fair enough. You were thinking about girls, but many people would, also be thinking about, you know, work, and later on, you know, their own houses, and
that's probably what I should have said, wasn't it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
It was interesting actually when I was doing a bit of research, because I do a bit of research for these things, believe it or not.
Oh dear.
So I found about you. No, I'm joking. One of the most common things that came up when I was searching about the Lib Dems is the amount of people that were calling it a wasted vote was insane. What do you think about that? You know, because that must piss you off a bit. People are like, don't vote for the Lib Dems. It's a wasted vote. Do you?
There are two sides to that coin.
Okay.
Yeah, so in a way, yes, you can find wasted votes in the parliamentary system because we don't have proportional representation.
Yeah.
So let's say three parties are running in an area.
Yeah.
One party only needs to get over a third of the vote to have a majority and win. So all the other people that voted for something else have no representation, if you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas proportional representation actually divvies it up, so your vote counts towards the amount of MPs or councillors that come out in the end.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's a very simplistic way of putting it, and actually, you know, you can devote a whole podcast to just proportional representation.
Yeah.
So, I understand how that comes from, but when people say the Liberal Democrats, voting for Liberal Democrats is a wasted vote, actually it isn't. And the reason why I say that is because being a candidate myself on several occasions and speaking to politicians of all sort of shapes and sizes, everyone's obsessed with vote share.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real obsession amongst MPs and councillors. You know, what was the vote share? Did we improve the vote share? We lost vote share. So if you vote Liberal Democrat, and you increase the vote share of the Lib Dems in your area,
Yeah.
and say you've currently got a Tory MP or a Tory councillor, they're going to look at that and go, oh crap,
Yeah.
you know, we're losing support to the Lib Dems. We need to change our attitude, or we need to change this or that. So actually what you're doing is still sending a message via your vote.
Yeah.
So it's never wasted, never wasted.
So I've got to ask as well then.
Oh God. That sounds ominous.
Yeah, that's what puts dread into anyone.
Yeah. I've got to ask.
I've got to ask.
Oh, go on then.
Yeah, I'm not going to go all Paxman on you. Don't worry about that. I'll just get my tie out of it.
Yeah. Go on then.
Partygate, people watching porn on the regular, affairs. What's your take on? I suppose really I'm asking, what's your take on Boris? Would you talk about that?
Yeah, you can't have a lawbreaker who's also a lawmaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it flies in the face of everything that we vote for and stand for as a country.
Mm-hmm.
He's too shameless, and our system at the moment allows that kind of behaviour to go unpunished, because if he decides not to go, he doesn't have to.
Okay.
I mean, that's ridiculous. If you got caught, watching porn or having an affair here on the premises, or misogynistic behaviour or anything like that, you'd be sacked.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt. You'd have an inquiry, of course you would, and proper procedures followed. But after that, you'd probably be sacked if you were guilty.
Because everyone really is out to get you. Do you think? Well, not everyone, but most people. When you're Prime Minister, they want to pick holes in absolutely everything that you do. Do you especially doing this sort of job?
Yeah.
The amount of people that come in here and talk about, Boris is doing this, or whoever it was before was doing that, and then it would be the next person they're doing this. Would you want that job?
Would I want the job, Prime Minister? Well, that's a question.
Yeah.
I've never really considered it.
Yeah.
Actually, but look, there's never been a Lib Dem Prime Minister, so look, I'd be making history straight away.
So do you think if Lib Dems were in power at the minute, do you think they'd have handled the pandemic and Brexit and everything like that?
I think a pig would have actually handled it better. Whatever political party it was.
Yeah. I mean, Conservative and pigs go way back, don't they?
Let's not go there. Yeah. I wasn't going to go there, David Cameron, but he did. Yeah.
Because you've got a bit of an online, social media presence and everything like that. A little.
Yeah.
You must get people comment things who disagree with what the Lib Dems do and everything like that.
Of course.
How do you deal with that? Because sometimes that must be really disheartening. If you're working so hard on something and someone comes along and is like, actually, I think you're a bit of a dickhead because you're the opposition to me. It's like football teams, isn't it? Yeah. Well, you support Liverpool. Someone else could support Chelsea. It's like you're like that without even considering.
It's a funny you should say that, actually, because we have a term for that in politics.
Okay.
It's called footballification.
Footballification?
Yeah. So it's where you wear the scarf for your team, regardless of what your team is doing.
Okay.
Yeah, or what the other team is doing. So
yeah.
And I've had it all. I've had messages that have been concerning.
Okay.
Sort of threats of sorts, and from both sides of the camp. So I've sort of been there and witnessed that side of things. But on policy, I've sort of coming back to the present day, you do get the odd message online saying, what are you doing about this, that and the other. But my policy is that as soon as somebody starts using foul language or calls me, as you put it, a dickhead or whatever, then I think you're not worth my time.
Well, thank you very much for being on A Haircut with me.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Opened my eyes to a lot of things that I had no idea about, and I think I'm ready to don a tie and get on.
You're going to vote?
The news, mate. I'm going to vote. I always vote.
Good man.
Go out and vote. Yeah.